Let's transition to Las Vegas and let's talk about Derek Carr as the Las Vegas Raiders. They have began trade talks and trying to deal Derek Carr. So Derek Carr, he went on Twitter earlier and he posted a goodbye message to Raider Nation. This is Derek Carr. He says, quote, Raider Nation, it breaks my heart I didn't get an opportunity to say goodbye in person. We certainly have been on a roller coaster in our 9 years together. From the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful and appreciative of the years of support you gave to me and my family. We had our share of both heartbreaking moments and thrilling game-winning drives, and it always felt like you were there next to me. That was Derek Carr's goodbye to the Las Vegas Raiders fan base. So let me be very, very clear about where I stand with Derek Carr. Derek Carr, in 9 seasons with the Raiders, Derek Carr had 217 touchdowns, 99 interceptions. He had 35,222 passing yards. He completed 65% of his passes as a starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe that Derek Carr is a mediocre quarterback. He's not great, but I believe he's a mediocre quarterback, and he only led the Raiders to the playoffs one time in 9 years. One time he led the Raiders to the postseason. That happened last year when the Raiders faced off against the Bengals here in Cincinnati. And in that game, Derek Carr, he went 29 of 54. He had 310 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He completed 54% of his passes. So he's 0-1 in the playoffs, only 1 playoff appearance in 9 seasons. I believe that Derek Carr is going to be remembered more for the person that he was, more so than the player. Last year, the Raiders had so much turmoil in that organization. Henry Ruggs got into a car accident where he was drinking and driving, killed an opposing driver, so he's facing jail time. His life and the lady who he killed and her family, their lives are ruined forever. And also, last year, the Raiders had the scandal that was going on with John Gruden and all the emails, so they had to fire John Gruden. It was a mess last year with that Las Vegas Raiders football team. And I thought Derek Carr showed great leadership last year, and he helped the Raiders get to the postseason because he was a tremendous person, not only in that locker room, but for the entire city of Las Vegas. Last year, the Raiders finished with a record of 10-7, and they snuck into the playoffs. Remember, in Week 18, they were home against the Chargers, and I expected Justin Herbert and the Chargers to beat Derek Carr and the Raiders and get to the postseason. But afterwards, I had to give Derek Carr a lot of credit because last year, he did a great job leading this franchise to the playoffs in a year where it was turmoil all around the organization. All around the organization. And last year, Derek Carr had 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, had over 4,800 passing yards, but his numbers weren't great, but I thought he did a great job with his leadership and being a leader of men. I believe when you are a quarterback in the NFL, players, they have to believe in you in order for your team to be its best version of itself. That's the reason why I think the Packers struggle in the playoffs, because a lot of those players in that Packers locker room, They know Aaron Rodgers don't believe in them deep down. They know that Aaron Rodgers is selfish. He's about himself. And that's the reason why you see the Packers struggle in big moments, in big games. But I thought last year, Derek Carr, he was the complete opposite of Aaron Rodgers. He was a team first player, and he did everything he possibly could to help that Raiders team get to the postseason and be a legit contender in the AFC. I give him a lot of credit because they had interim head coach Rich Bisaccia, and they didn't even know if they wanted to bring Rich Bisaccia back. So it was so many things that was going on in that organization that were unknown. They didn't know if they wanted to bring Rich Bisaccia back. You know, their receiving core wasn't up to par. That's why they made the trade in the offseason for Devontae Adams. But I thought Derek Carr did a great job as a leader in that Raiders locker room. And again, for me, I believe as a quarterback, Derek Carr is an average quarterback. I think Derek Carr is in that same stratosphere as a Dak Prescott, as a Matthew Stafford. Despite Matthew Stafford winning a Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford is on that level with Derek Carr and Dak Prescott, even Ryan Tannehill. I think they're all on the same level. I would take Derek Carr slightly above Ryan Tannehill. I think Derek Carr and Dak Prescott are equivalent. I think if you swapped Derek Carr for Dak Prescott, I think the Cowboys would be in the postseason right with Derek Carr the same way they are in the postseason with Dak Prescott. So I think Derek Carr is a average quarterback, and I think that he's going to help another NFL team out there become contenders. And one of the teams that I'm looking forward to seeing if they will possibly trade for Derek Carr, and I know everyone's going to be surprised when I say this, we don't know whether or not Tua Tagovailoa is going to be able to continue his career with all these concussions. If I am Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, you already got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL. If you pair Derek Carr up in Miami with Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle, with Gesicki at tight end, and Mike McDaniel in that system, I think Derek Carr could have some success with the Miami Dolphins. And I believe the Miami Dolphins could be contenders, not only in the AFC East, but in the AFC overall. No, Derek Carr is not elite like a Mahomes or like a Herbert or like a Burrow or Allen. But I think Derek Carr is the true definition of a stable quarterback. He stabilizes your organization and your football team. I hear Colin Cowherd on the Herd always talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and how Jimmy G is a stabilizer and all that. Give me a break. Give me Derek Carr over Jimmy Garoppolo 10 out of 10 times and twice on Sundays. So I think if you add Derek Carr to the mix in Miami, I like that relationship that he can form with Mike McDaniel, and I like that fit. I really, really do. And here's the thing, another thing to think about. Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, remember, Mike McDaniel is a protege from that Kyle Shanahan system. And this year, we saw what Tua was able to do in that system under Mike McDaniel. This year, Tua had the best season of his career. 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He was great this year. This was the best season that Tua ever had. So I believe that if you take out Tua and you insert Derek Carr, I like that mix in Miami. Derek Carr, Mike McDaniel, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I like it. I think it could be a good fit. So that's the team that I'm looking forward to seeing if they make a move for Derek Carr and possibly trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. Look out for the Miami Dolphins. They are one of those teams that I believe they bring in Derek Carr, who is again, average quarterback, but on a good day, he could be a good quarterback. If he's at his best, I think that Dolphins football team will definitely be contenders in the AFC East. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. Make sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports.